Hello, hello. What's up, everybody? All right. Trying to get into a regular rhythm of streaming some We Are the Caretakers game dev. I'm planning to work on some encounter animation stuff, which I'll get into in a second. Hey, how's it going? Sharak? Sorry, I don't know if I pronounced that right. Going up. Before I get started, I wanted to answer some of the questions that were coming in this morning in the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, you can just go to discord.gg / We Are The Caretakers. Kind of have it back there. You probably can't see it. But yeah, it should be in the links at all of the different stream pages. But yeah, let me see what we had. So a lot of the questions were about encounters. So last week I streamed like just some basic like UI things that I was fixing in the encounter system. And you can see here, I've got the sandbox set up where I can kind of mess around with the encounters without having to go into the main map and all that. But there are some questions about the systems that play into the non-violent or sort of the different options for resolving encounters. So the way the system is set up is that you've got your unit and you'll confront these poacher units or potentially the Ron themselves or civilians, and you can use your different character abilities turn by turn to try to wear down the poachers. And you can see that the overall goal of the system, and actually this music's messing me up, so I'm gonna turn that off while I'm talking for now. But So yeah, you're trying to wear down the poachers using your abilities, and the question was basically, how do I, like, okay, so if I'm just going to use my abilities and beat somebody down, is that all I can do? Well, no, you can see there's different classes, and most classes usually have 3 to 4 abilities that vary in levels of aggressiveness or maybe target different things. So as a good example, I've got a diplomat character here, which has an intimidate ability, which will apply a trait to the opponent that'll make them sort of weak-minded and make them more susceptible to um, other abilities. It'll also increase the threat, which you can see up here. There's a threat level meter. And as that threat goes up, that does a number of things. So it might increase the chance of critical hits. It might increase the chance that the enemies will flee. And fleeing, or getting them to sort of surrender or go off on their own, is one path beyond just kind of being aggressive and wearing them down. But you can also use abilities to wear down other stats, basically. So you can wear down the other character's will, which will make them easier to hit and will kind of change their aggressiveness. So in general, you're just sort of manipulating the opponents to kind of get to the outcome you want. And then once you wear them down to 0 stamina, you can use these finishing moves. And you can see that we have a whole bunch of choices based upon the class that you're using of how you can finish them. Right now, we're kind of in the middle of a whole revamp of the character abilities, so this isn't really representative of like what the final finishing moves are going to be, but some of the non-violent options are to detain them, and you actually sort of detain them and bring them back to your HQ, and then you have sort of a room where your main character can go ahead and actually like decide if you're going to hold on to them, let them go, send them to their like local governments and stuff. There's a whole system around that. You can use your diplomats to bribe or wear them down, and you can do other things where you've built them up and you can actually try to recruit them or send them off sort of in a better place so that they are less aggressive in future missions. So that's kind of like the overall direction we're going, and my hope is over the next couple streams we can start to actually flesh out all those features so it becomes more apparent. One of the other questions, and let me just check chat before I get too carried away here. One of the other questions came from Rajan Neely, which you've been following my work since High Grounds, and I still don't know how to pronounce it, but appreciate you sticking around. But you're asking, are the poachers the villains, or the true villains their employers or their consumers? People with power and who truly benefit are usually safe from anti-poachers. This is one I'm going to leave alone because I think in general, all I'll say is that, yeah, our game is not clear-cut. And there are, you'll meet a lot of different characters with a lot of different motivations. And we hope to kind of like represent a whole bunch of different perspectives and kind of just let you discover for yourself how you feel about it and try to pull out what the actual motivations are and who's good, who's evil, that type of thing. But it is something that we're thinking about. It's not going to be the whole point, and one of the sort of guiding visions for the game is that there just isn't this whole topic is fairly complicated, and we're going to represent all those complex pieces of it. But yeah, I appreciate the interest in the system, and yeah, I'm going to try to work on some things today to make it start to show itself. So the thing I'm going to work on is fairly straightforward, but it might take a little doing. So one of the things you'll see is with every action right now, basically all of the characters have the same attack animation. It's sort of this like shooting motion, or some of the other characters have like a kick, which was just a test to show that I can have variety per character. This doesn't make a lot of sense in a lot of situations. So like I'm going to tranquilize this person, stun them, she still kicks, and that doesn't make any sense. So what I'm going to try to do is add animations per ability that can kind of be set up so that the abilities that the characters have, or the animations the characters have, match the abilities that they have. So, cut this down. And yeah, just shout out any questions you have while I'm working. I'm going to put some music on and just be working. But yeah, let me know if there's anything that looks interesting to you as I'm working. We're in Unity. If you didn't catch the last stream, and we're on, I think, we haven't moved to version 2019. We're on the last version of 2018. All right. Citizen Arcane just said, I just upgraded to 2019 and it broke so much of my project. And yeah, that happens. I think we could probably move pretty safely to 2019, but we don't really have a reason. I usually wait until there's a feature that I really need to have before upgrading. And because we have a team of about 6 and about 3 people who are in source control at any given time, we try to like minimize the upgrade paths, because then everybody has to upgrade. We have to make sure branches that are out there don't get messed up, etc. Yeah, what busted in your project? I'm gonna start with the conductor. The one thing that we have yet to fix is that we actually have individual prefabs for each of the different character classes in the game, which works fine enough, but when we're doing big wholesale changes, it becomes kind of a pain. So we should really have a single prefab that just has like the variations from it. But I'm going to start with the conductor, who's kind of like our main character. So actually, I think AJ, our artist, is going to be working on a new version of this. So I'll see if I can't get him to share some of the concepts as he's working on it. But we've got our character here. Every character prefab has an animator, and then we have an individual controller per character, and this is how I can kind of go in and change the animations. Each of them has the same sort of graph here. I guess I can explain like basically what's going on here if you've never messed with this. Oh yeah, sorry, just checking in on Citizen Arcane here. Yeah, yep. Lighting stuff and a lot of the features can mess things up. We upgraded to the terrain system that came with 2018. That was like kind of our motivation for upgrading, and surprisingly it did not break a whole lot, so pretty happy about that, because we rely on a couple of plugins. So thankfully the things that we've had to upgrade haven't broken, but yeah, I guess that's why I use source control, right? But anyway, this is basically just a graph that shows the transitions between animations, and in combat, based upon what you're doing, you know, we set these transitions with triggers, like these. You can set these parameters here, and whenever I set this to true, like say for attack or hit react, it just fires, plays the animation, then returns to idle. That's what these kind of arrows are. It's just a visual way to see the transition between animations. Right now we have a pretty basic setup because every character has the same set of states, and most of the time they just kind of fire when ready and then return to idle. We don't have much that's complex. We have the, I'll just skip to the Ron, which is our animals. Let's see if I can get the Ron animator in here. This one right here. Ron controller. They have something a little bit more complex, where if they're ever poached, they go into sort of this critical laying down state, and then can be kind of brought up. So we have some complexity there. We also have this setup where you can actually sort of have like this sub state where we say, okay, idle, go to the idles and pick a random one. And so it just comes in here and randomly picks one of 3 idle animations and then goes back to the base idle. So we've done some slightly more complex things with the Ron, but most of the characters are pretty basic. If I go back to the conductor, what I want to do is right now I have this single attack animation that plays for every single ability. And I want to make 2 more of these because most characters will have 3 abilities, and then be able to drag different animations in here. Just a little bit more about this. I can pretty easily create those states. Like I'll create a new state. Actually, instead of creating a new one, let's see if I can just copy this. Yeah, worked. Didn't keep the links, but it keeps them. For now, I'll just put this over here. Call it else. Case. Move the space. Do this. Yeah, what I was going to say is that all of our animations, with few exceptions, are actually motion capture data that you can get from various libraries. So we haven't done a lot of hand animation. The Ron is all hand animated by AJ, and as of yet, we haven't had a need or like had like a really special case animation where we couldn't find something in an existing library. So this is one of the ways that indie teams can kind of save some time and money by benefiting from, you know, building a system around this sort of constraints of being able to use these libraries. Hey, We Hour Games, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. It's always interesting. I'm streaming across Twitch and YouTube and Steam and Mixer, but I think I'm gonna have to like a conference Q&A panel. I have to repeat the question because I don't know who can see what chat. I'll have to see if there's a way to like share the joint chat with everybody on the next stream. But there's more people watching. So what I'm going to do here just as a test is find another animation. Like, let's do the kick that I think is already being used elsewhere. A little preview down here. That leg looks busted. This is sometimes the problem with mocap data, is that it's not perfect. But we'll go with it for now, because ultimately what I'm going to end up doing after I have the system in to actually play different animations, then we can go in and tweak each character to find the right animation for their ability. So for now, I'm just going to put any old thing in here. And the way that we can use these different animations is by using the humanoid rig on the character. And by using that sort of standard rig, it basically is set up to accept standard sort of biped rig animations. So we knew up front we were going to use this, so we kind of got everything set up, and now we're able to take advantage of this library. Getting ahead of myself because I was going to go show you the library where we get them from, but let's get the code actually working, that we can kind of mess around with different animations. Picking, play, find another. Secondary gesture. All right, yeah, let's use this one for now. Kind of could work for like an intimidate. I think some of these have already been set up, but we might have to go in and tweak them later. So what I need to do is copy these transitions here. This lets us, the nice thing about this Unity animator is that it lets us see if the animations actually transition nicely. So like we can preview, it's going to play as idle and go into the attack. See that it transitions smoothly. Should return back. So this transition to trigger, or the condition for this to trigger is on attack. So I'm thinking is that we're going to have to go over here and make a new Boolean for attack 2 and attack 3. That, or I think it's trigger, yep. Am I listening to? A condition. 2. Transition back to idle. For this, there's no condition. It'll just, once this is done firing, it'll go back to idle. That's all we want. And the way it works, I think if you just have this has exit time checked, it'll just work. If that's the case. Cool. 3, and then we'll do tests. All right, should be set up. That's the animator transition. Actually, I can just double check. Kick or whatever we had. Go. So we got these set up. So if I find the animator in code and I say play or set trigger attack 2 or attack 3, then this should play. I'm going to go into Visual Studio. Actually forget where this is triggered, so I'm just going to search for attack and hopefully I can find it quick. Okay, I think this is it. So bookmark just like stream. Then I'm just going to change this to attack 2. Just see if the normal loop will play. I'm going to break the other classes because I haven't added these animations to all the other animators. But let's. Okay, so he's here. See what happens. These enemies are probably going to go and just not do anything. So they don't have the attack 2, so it's just going to not fire, and they're just going to sit here and do nothing. Good to know the game doesn't like crash or anything. Sharing contest till we get to conductor. There, it worked. So he did the second animation, which is that kick. So cool, our triggers are set up. Now what we need to do, figure out how do we say, okay, with a given animation, which attack they be doing. So this is basically a whole system that I talked about last week, where we have like an ability and effect system. And so this is a generic sort of triggering for everything, because we didn't have a concept of having a different animation. So we need to come up with either some parameter we pass in here or some knowledge of the character, which it looks like we have access to here, to figure out which ability is firing. So usually when I'm trying to come up with something new, I'll just like write the pseudocode in here and figure out how to actually do it later. So from character, get list of abilities, if which ability is the acting. Right, nation number based. Try that. There's probably a cleaner way to do this, but I'll just try to get it working in here, and then we could maybe pull it out into its own function or something. Ability instance to execute. So this is what we need for the comparison. The current one. See if we can go to character. Abilities. We actually have the ability system component. The abilities on it. Abilities, there we go. Abilities, the return list. Okay. Yeah, I'm hoping to stream weekly, and I'm also hoping to throw in like one other stream of just like playing games and kind of just hanging out with the community. Maybe I'll try to pick a multiplayer one where we could play together or something. Or just play like when we have a relevant build of We Are The Caretakers, you know, play a little bit of that. And we've been talking about a team stream to throw in there, like maybe monthly or something, where we bring in more exciting people than me on the team to talk about art or story or whatever it might be. That's the current plan. What would be interesting to you guys to see streams for from the team? All right, so I got my list of abilities. Now I need to compare. It's gonna be really cheap, but each ability Mute. Oh, this is going to air ability in our list. Ability being equal. We want to do this, which is the right animation number based upon position in the list of ability. Love to see some gameplay of Caretakers, but I understand that might be limited at this stage. Yeah, I can play a little bit of where we're at now. We're kind of working towards a demo of the first era, which is like era is a name for our set of levels, basically. So I can kind of show just the jump from the headquarters into the first level after we finish this feature. But yeah, I definitely know sometimes programming stuff isn't as exciting, so I'm trying to pick something with animations here that's a little more visual, but yeah, just trying to get in the habit of streaming. We'll figure out what's the most interesting as we go. Yeah, I know you didn't mean no. I appreciate the answer. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna try to convince our artist Anthony to maybe do some live painting streams or just like host another stream he's already doing. All right, cool. Thanks. One person's interested in programming. Okay, so the problem with my implementation here, I can already see that I'm getting a list, so I don't have like a consistent order. At least I'm not guaranteed a consistent order with this list, but let's just follow this through and then where we can go. So I'll just keep a count for right now. So if it is, do whatever and stop, else plus might be simpler if I here attack 0. Go to match the index I'm gonna have. Transitions. Oh, we're good. All right. And sloppy here, but plug here. I'm just curious if this will just work, so let's try it. Something. All right, let's see what happens. We use the first ability. Could work. Oh, no, it's not going to work because the other characters... Let's test the conductor, then I'll tell you why it doesn't work with the other characters. You can see down here he goes next because of the turn order down here is ordered by their speed setting. So it's not like going in their order of rows, it's going... All right, let's give it a shot. I try fire. Okay. Light his first animation. Good. All right. To make this go faster, I'm going to use our testing system here. This is where we're defining the characters that are in our little sandbox. Everybody but the conductor. Let's try to add maybe one more conductor. Three conductors. This will let us test. Second one, it should be kick, right? Okay. Worked. Guess if I used, so this weight should be last always. That's something to work on, but if I use barrage, he probably would do nothing because there's no 4. Okay, need to count for that. But if I use weight, yeah, the intimidate. Okay, it seems to be working. All right, one more time. The round change messes with anything. All right. I am satisfied working. The reason the other characters aren't working, if you haven't guessed, if I go to like that poacher boss, which is one of the characters over there, it still has attack. Its trigger is called attack instead of attack 0. So it doesn't even have the basic trigger set up correctly at this point. That's okay. It's easy enough that it's something I can do off the stream is go update all the other characters. So we've got this set up. What we need to do now is find a way to define, well, I guess if I want to, I'd like there to be almost like a cleaner one-to-one way to do this. Like maybe in the abilities themselves, I could define their animation name, and then it would just, rather than having to do this lookup, I could just look at the current ability and pass in the animation name that way, and that way there's no confusion. But that won't actually work because some characters might have the same, they'll have the same animation but in a different slot. So I can't just define the slot universally. So what I should probably do is actually drag the animation itself into the ability, and then it will assign the ability to its slot. Anyways, I'll mess around with this week on like cleaner ways to do this to avoid any sort of bugs that can come from this lookup approach. Yeah, I guess what I could do, I think I'm just surprised that that went so fast. But I think all I have to do then is per character, once I know what their animations are, I can just go in here and drag the correct animations. Let's see if we can, let's look at the animations. Let's test this workflow out. Because what I want to avoid is over-engineering if it doesn't need to be. The thing I'm considering is how much are we going to be iterating on this, and how tedious will it be if I want to change an ability to change the animation. And I'm thinking that it will be, at least in the early going, pretty pretty annoying to like have to change something in 2 spots. So I want to avoid that. Kind of just want to see what I can do. I go to the conductors class data. Is that wrong? All right, so we have something called character class data. This is where we define like stats and abilities and the prefab that we're using for every character. Way we define abilities is, yeah, we just have a list here and we drag in an ability file here. The ability, oh wait, spoke too soon. So we just did a big sort of like, we created a new system, or I should say Steven, the other programmer on the project, created this system that changed how we did abilities. So I think that's actually a legacy list of abilities. So let me go back to that. So yeah, actually, I'll remove that. But what we're actually doing is we actually generate a list of the ability files, or the script knows to like do a lookup of a folder where we have all the abilities, and we just do checkboxes for all of the abilities that we want on a character. Right now I've got barrage, fire, rush, and weight. And if I can test this, I want to see if that order from top to left, or from yeah, top to bottom matches the top to bottom order that's in the game. confirm that. So does not look to be that. I'm curious if it's consistent between even instances. So at least in this case, they're all ordered the same, but while it's playing. Okay. That order isn't consistent, so we can't go off of that. No way we can define the animation. All right, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate it. I'll probably go till 4 o'clock, then stop here. Let's see if we can't something interesting. So one of the things that's interesting, at least when I program, is like I'm a designer programmer a lot of times, so I am thinking while implementing, and you run into something new. And I've always found it to be like this right now would be where I'd say, okay, I've got the basic implementation working. Now I'll go like take a walk or take a break and think about, you know, the next steps or the right implementation, do the thinking part of things. And I've noticed this when it comes to making art or anything else. There's a thinking period and then there's like the doing period. And I enjoy both, but it's always sort of frustrating when you kind of like break your flow from one or the other. So as much as possible, I've been trying lately to like not beat myself up about not having done some of the thinking part and just setting aside time to like work that out. So once I'm programming, I can be fairly uninterrupted and get a bunch of stuff done. Because I've noticed that when I just kind of dive in sometimes, I can start to waste time. So this right here is where it's now just thinking about the best way, not just a way to do it. Right now, I think what I'm going to do, knowing that I have, let's see, we have the barrage ability, wait, expire, forget the other one. I'm going to go actually find good animations that match those abilities. I can show you how we do that. All right, barrage, fire, rush. Okay. So we've got a bunch of animations already in the project that's in here. So what I'm going to do is go to mixamo.com. If you haven't used this before, it's actually a free mocap library. I'll put it on the main screen in a second after I log in. So yeah, this is Mixamo. They have a whole bunch of free animations. And what we're going to do is try to find an animation, and then we can export it to an FBX format that we can use in Unity. So I'm going to look for an Inspire. Just look for Inspire to see if it. Nope, never that easy. Category is it? It's not sport. Combat suit. You can kind of see some of these are skinned, some of them are not. I think they actually, if I wanted to, I could actually use some of their like actual default models, but we don't want that. We just want to sort of, we want the animation data to put on our characters. We're all shooting. We can do like jig or something. Try this one to see more like a Power Rangers level of inspiration, I guess, but let's just give it a shot to see how it works. So we could mess with, like we could trim it down if we had a specific use case for it, but I'm just going to use the full animation. Download. They actually have right here FBX for Unity built in, which is really nice. We're just going to keep the same frame rate. No, without skin. We just want the animation data and no keyframe reduction. All right, then off screen, I'm just going to actually drag that into the project. Called Xbox Magic Casting. Preview, that's fine. Now, I think I might have to do some tweaking, but let's just put 0 to so this is just like a dummy object. We actually need to grab the animation that's associated with this animation data object. All right, I go to this, select the animation. We have to decide if we want it to loop. We don't want it to loop. It's not an idle. It's a one-time animation. Go to Gunplay to see stats. I'm sorry, these settings. Bake into pose. I think we do want that. I'm not going to mess with it. Let's just test it. See if it needs any tweaking. All right, so I put that into attack 1 or attack 0. Should do our I was on the wrong animation controller. Oh, that's why. I think I have the wrong, I used the wrong animation, but it did play. But we didn't want that one. We wanted the magic spell casting. A mistake. That one plays. We will be doing a beta for the game. We're not sure when, but hopefully in the next couple of months. So make sure you're either on our Discord or following me on Twitter or something like that so you can kind of get first dibs. I think we're actually going to put the beta sign up in our Discord first. All right, see if we can get this magic casting thing here. Okay. It played, but it looks like there must be something messed up. So we're gonna have to mess with the settings so that it does not do that. That is not inspirational at all. It's actually really deflated with my. Let's go edit it. Model to preview it. So, actually, I think what we can do if we have it in our controller. Should be able to preview the transition and see that same behavior. Previews messed up. I guess you just gotta have a model for even these previews. Something off with the scale of the animation. Easiest solution to this is just to take a quick look at the other setups here. Get that generic rig in here so we can play it. Well, that's a mess with it. Okay. I think the problem is this. I think I was talking earlier how we had to set everything to the humanoid rig, and that's how our game knows and how the animation knows how to like work with our shared rig. So let me see if I change our magic spellcasting humanoid. I think that's actually how we'll get the generic model. Yeah, okay. All right, I think that's what's up. Now let's try that. It should already be set up in here. Yeah. I think the generic one is obviously generic, but I think it's more of like you can use it on custom things. But by using the humanoid, we're using Unity's built-in sort of humanoid rig and all the setup that they have put in the engine to get it to work. All right. There we go. That's more inspirational. It's a little over the top, but it works. One thing you'll notice, see if we can actually, so watch the model's feet. See how it's sliding around? We want those feet to stay planted, let the rest of the animation do its thing. So I think this is where we have to do some of this stuff where we do bake into pose. Let's do one that we've already set up, like this gunplay one. We're gonna have to check these boxes basically. I won't go into the details of it, but long story short, we're gonna have to check these boxes. Edit. So it's basically what's happening is there's some rotation built into the animation. We want that to stop. Let's just see how the preview looks done. Quite what we want. Let's see. This animation just might not be fit. But there is a way to get the foot IK working on this. I think that is in... I think that's in the animator. Should be set up though, so going on. This, what off here. All right, that's kind of what you would do though. Take some messing with in Mixamo, and it's been a while since I've been cleaning these imported mocap objects, but I'll sort that out off the stream. Let me just make sure I didn't break anything here. Okay, so that's fixed. It just, this animation has some foot movement as part of it. And it's going to the side. You can see his feet aren't like swimming. Before they were like kind of swimming around, it looked unnatural. Now it's actually just playing. All right. Again, I don't know if that's a fit for this ability, but we have a new animation in. So I think I'm gonna stop the stream here. I'll probably populate all the characters this week based upon their animation, or based upon their various abilities, and hopefully we'll have like a better looking overall setup. So thanks a lot for checking out the stream. Please follow us and join our Discord, discord.gg/wearethecaretakers. And yeah, be back next week about the same time, I think. Later.